Hello and welcome to another Crack-a-Pack episode. Today we are opening up a pack of 2014 core set. Very excited about this one. Of course, because it is a core set, we are looking for lower power level cards, more entry level cards, so we're not expecting to see anything too crazy, though there are still a couple cards in here that I'm pretty excited to open if we get them. So we will go through this as if it is a draft perspective, so we'll do the best we can to figure out what our pack one pick one would be if we were actually to be drafting this set. So as such, we'll go through every single card. Our first one here, Divination. It's a sorcery for 2 and a blue. Draw 2 cards. Pretty straightforward, but actually very, very good. Drawing cards is generally speaking not the, it's not terrible, but it's also not the greatest thing in Limited. It does help you dig to your answers, dig to your bombs, things like that, and so it's good for that. But in general, you're obviously taking a turn off just to draw a couple cards. Not always the best, depending on the situation you're in. So I do like Divination. It's probably not a first pick for me, but it's not a bad card at all. Festering Neut is a 1/1 for 1 black. When it dies, target creature an opponent controls gets -1/-1 until the end of the turn. That creature gets -4/-4 instead if you control a creature named Bogbrew Witch. There's a 3-card combo with this, the Witch, and then the Cauldron. That is just kind of stupid. I don't like that combo. That being said, of all of the pieces, the Festering Neut is actually the most playable just on its own. It is a 1/1 for 1, so it's on curve, as well as it has the added bonus of probably picking off something else if it does die. And so I like that. I don't think it's better than Divination, but I do think that it's a perfectly serviceable 1-drop, one that I would be happy to run. Master of Diversion is a 2/2 for 2 and a white. When it attacks, tap target creature the defending player controls. So far, I think this is actually the pick. So being able to tap down an opponent's creature is really big. It makes them have to think about all of their attacks because they're going to obviously be tapping their creatures to attack. They can't just leave only one creature up to block. Because you can just tap it with the Master of Diversion. And so there's a lot of upside to being able to have this effect available to you. And so I definitely think that this is worth it. It's a little below curve at 2/2 for 3, but again, we are in a core set, so it's not too surprising there. And that ability is just super, super key. So definitely interested. Ring Flesh is an instant for 1 black. Target creature gets -3/-1 until the end of the turn. This is in a weird way, kind of a reverse combat trick. So it's one that you use on your opponent's creatures, ideally making it so that they're going to lose in combat. You can also just use this to pick off just a low ground creature. That's definitely usable. I like it. I think it's a little bit worse than a regular removal spell, if that makes sense. It's good, but it's situationally good, whereas a straight up removal spell is just going to be good all the time. I like it. I don't think it's better than the Master of Diversion. I think the Diversion gives you a little bit more of an aggressive edge, whereas this is very much reactive to whatever the opponent's creature board or the board state looks like. So like it, not necessarily the most amazing card though. Root Walla is a 2/2 for 2 and a green. You can pay 1 and a green and it gets +2/+2 until the end of the turn. Activate this ability only once each turn. So this is a perfectly okay 3-drop. It's not amazing, but you will be able to pump it on the following turn pretty easily. Again, you can only do it once, which kind of sucks. Ideally, you'd like to be able to do that more than once, but on the second turn after you play it, it can be a 4/4 for only 2 mana, which is fine. I think it's good. It's just not that amazing. Excuse me. I'd much rather have the Master of Diversion for sure. Predatory Sliver. This is interesting. So it's a 1/1 for 1 and a green, and sliver creatures you control get +1/+1. So this is very much an all-in card. If you're going to take this card, you want to be in slivers without a doubt, but this is one of the very key cards to the sliver deck. You need as many of these as possible to make all of your slivers just absolute bombs. And so being able to pick this up early could actually be very, very good. I think that this has higher upside than the Master of Diversion, but it also has the chance to flop, whereas the Master of Diversion is just kind of good no matter what. So it's kind of up to you to evaluate that risk. I think this early on, you could very easily move into the sliver deck and it would probably be okay. So I'm going to keep it in this file and we'll see what the rest of the pack holds for us. Seco Drake is a 1/3 for 1 and a blue and it has flying. Pretty straightforward flyer. Nothing too exciting about this, but it's okay. As a 2-drop, a 1/3, With flying, I think is fine. Without it, I would not be very interested in it. It's only going to be pinging in the air for 1, but it probably will be able to ping in the air for 1 because it does come out so early. And a lot of the times, if the opponent's deck just doesn't have a flyer, they get unanswered. And so it's very, very easy to just start pinging in the air and things like that. So I like it for that. It's not the most exciting card in the world, though. Definitely not better than the other 2 that we've got pulled out. Goblin Shortcutter is a 2/1 for 1 and a red. When it enters the battlefield, target creature can't block this turn. This is very, very good for like a red-white or just red aggressive deck. It's a 2-drop that is a 2/1, so it's pretty much on curve. And then on top of that, it makes something unable to block, which just means that you're going to be able to get in for damage consistently, which is exactly what you want. That's all you want to do, is be able to swing in as much as possible. This, in combination with something like Master of Diversion, just means that like they're going to be very, very hard pressed to actually block anything, which is great. So I do like it. I'd rather have the Master of Diversion, I believe, just because that's better in multiple strategies. It's also good throughout multiple turns, where this is only good the turn it comes into play. But this is still a very key card for the aggressive deck, just being able to get in and not have any blockers to worry about. Divine Favor is an enchant creature for 1 and a white. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life, and then the enchanted creature gets +1/+3. I think this is okay, but not great. I'm not a fan of enchanted creatures. I've talked about this a million times, so I'm not going to harp on it. The 2-for-1 aspect of it is not something that I'm a fan of. Gaining 3 life does keep you alive against some decks, and then that buff to the toughness in particular means it's going to be very difficult to deal with the creature just in combat. However, if they have a kill spell, you've just been 2-for-1, and that kind of sucks. So not super excited by this. There are definitely cards that would want it. Things like Glade Cover Scout, things like that, which I believe might be in this set. I might be wrong. But other than that, not a huge advantage to it. Liturgy of Blood, I hope I'm saying that correctly, is a sorcery for 3 and 2 black. Destroy target creature and then add 3 black to your mana pool. This is premium removal, I assume, in this set. Being able to straight up kill any creature is great, and then adding 3 black on the back end of that, being able to do like a follow-up play with even just a small creature or something like that, means you're going to be able to play 2 spells per turn, which is great. So I really, really like this card. I definitely think it's better than the Master of Diversion. The Sliver still has a lot of upside, and so it's a little bit tricky between the two. But again, we'll see what the rest of the pack holds before we make that decision. Veracious Worm is a 2/2 for 1 and a green, and when it enters the battlefield, it comes in with X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the amount of life that you've gained this turn. Life gain in general, I'm not super excited about. I guess if you pick this card, maybe that's a reason to get life gain, but in general, I'm not super excited by it. It is just a 2/2 for 2 a lot of the time, but then obviously if you've got something like the Divine Favor or something along those lines, maybe it's a 5/5 or something like that. And for only 2 mana, that is pretty great. And being able to play this for only 2 is pretty awesome. I just tend not to focus more on the life gain strategy. And so for me, this is not the most exciting pick. That might be incorrect. That might be ill-evaluated, but feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Blightcaster is a 2/3 for 3 and a black. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you may have target creature get -2/-2 until the end of the turn. This is a pretty powerful card. So there are enchantments that you would want to do to pick up if you have this card. Even things like the Divine Favor, that turns into a kill spell. Excuse me. Which means that even if you do cast enchant creatures and something gets 2-for-1, you've already probably 2-for-1 the opponent to gain that value back. So I actually really like this card. This lets me, I think, start taking enchanted creatures and not feel quite as bad about it. I honestly think that it's better than the other 2 cards that we have so far. While the kill spell is good, it is just a straight up kill spell. This also is going to be able to deal with a lot of the board. And then again, while that Sliver does have a lot of upside, this is just a very, very solid card. Being able to deal with so many opponents' creatures is great. So definitely interested in that. Air Servant is a 4/3 for 4 and a blue. It has flying, and then you can pay 2 and a blue, tap target creature with flying. So this is really interesting because it allows you potentially to deal with the opponent's stuff, at least tap them down so they can't block this. and then this becomes just a huge swinging bomb, which is great. So I like this card, not more than the Blightcaster though. There's so much synergy with that Blightcaster that I really, really like it. And then our rare is Garrix Horde. So it's a 7/7 for 5 and 2 green. It does have trample, and you play with the top card of your library revealed. You may cast the top card of your library if it's a creature card. So this is definitely the kind of bomb we're looking for. So much upside just all around the board on this one. It's a bomb in its own right. It also allows you to play so many other creatures so quickly that you just take over the board. So in my opinion, this is a very, very clear pick. We do not have a foil. So for me, Garrix Horde is 100% the pick. Feel free to let me know in the comment section below if you disagree. But if you like this video, please make sure to leave a like or a comment down below. And as always, please make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of our awesome content. But with that, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next Crack a Pack episode.